Today on the CTV News at 5, what RCMP are saying about a head-on crash near Welling that killed 2 people and sent 3 others to hospital. Plus, cycling for Alzheimer's, how 2 Lethbridge women are hoping to raise awareness of the disease. And how Winston Churchill students are celebrating the last day of classes before gearing down for exams.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. RCMP continue to investigate a fatal head-on collision south of Lethbridge that killed 2 people and sent 3 others to hospital. The crash happened on Highway 5 at the north end of Welling. A Chevy car crossed the center line, colliding with an SUV. 2 passengers in the car were killed. They've been identified as Raymond residents 69-year-old Morris Walker and his 76-year-old wife, Marianne. Their daughter, who was driving the car, was taken to the Chinook Regional Hospital with undetermined injuries. 2 women in the SUV were also taken to hospital, one of them with serious injuries.
We haven't had a chance to talk with the drivers yet, of both drivers of the vehicles. So once we do that, we'll have a better idea, hopefully, of what took place and why it took place. What we do know is alcohol was not a factor in this collision, and our traffic analyst was out doing his investigation as well.
Now, the speed limit going through Welling is 70 kilometers per hour, but it increases to 100 kilometers per hour just north of the collision scene. The highway was closed for 3 hours while police carried out their investigation. 2 men charged with killing another man during a violent argument last summer were back in court today, and it was expected their case would be resolved, but there's been yet another delay. The body of 47-year-old Michael Powell was discovered in an apartment in South Lethbridge last July. Police allege 2 men had been visiting the home when they got into a dispute that then turned deadly. 25-year-old Kelsey Prairie Chicken and 27-year-old Brandon Brown were originally charged with second-degree murder. However, at their last court appearance, the charge was reduced to manslaughter. Today, Prairie Chicken's lawyer told court she'd run into some issues that had to be worked out. The case has been set over until July the 12th. Do you remember that Amber Alert issued in the disappearance of an 8-month pregnant 14-year-old Maple Creek girl back in January? Well, 2 people, including the girl's 16-year-old boyfriend, have now entered guilty pleas in the case. The boy pleaded guilty to abduction and break and enter, while the boy's 38-year-old mother, she admitted to obstructing an officer. The girl was found with her boyfriend unharmed a few days after it was reported she'd been kidnapped from her home by masked intruders. And a former correctional officer in Medicine Hat has been charged with drug trafficking. The charges follow an investigation that began earlier this year into activities at the Medicine Hat Remand Center. Police say tobacco and illegal drugs were being brought into the jail in exchange for money. 36-year-old Jay Hagelson is charged with 2 counts of trafficking marijuana, 1 count of trafficking cocaine, as well as 2 counts of proceeds by crime and bribery of an officer. He'll be in court on August the 13th. And there is still no sign of the 2 men missing in the East Kootenay. Nicholas Huffnagels is from Cochrane. His friend, Stephen Thompson, is from Canal Flats. They were seen on Saturday near Canal Flats, where they were camping. Searchers suspect, though, their truck went off the road. It rolled down a steep embankment. Their personal belongings were found at the bottom near a river, but there is still no sign of the truck or of the men. So far, the water has been too dangerously high to send in a dive team. Helicopters had been combing the area earlier this week. It's been kind of a wet, damp, gray week, Dory. But this weekend, we're going to see some sun.
Yeah, finally, we are going to see an area of high pressure move in. It's actually, part of it is coming in from the Oregon coast, so definitely a west coast system that's moving into southern Alberta. Not to say we're completely out of the woods, chance of late day thundershower activity tomorrow just with that leftover instability, but certainly we're not looking at showers during the daytime hours like we were today. So things are improving as we head towards the weekend. I'll give you the details in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. The NDP's health critic weighed in on the Alberta government's decision to turf the entire Alberta Health Services Board today. David Egan says the board was a slow-motion car wreck from its beginning. Egan made the comments at a stop in Lethbridge today. He says creating a super board was problematic. And in southern Alberta led to a loss of services and loss over control over local healthcare decisions. Egan is urging the government to dissolve the board and then return to local decision making.
I think it was set up in the first place back in 2008 just as a way to try to make more privatization and to claw back power from the regions. And so I think Lethbridge, for example, most regions in Alberta would be better served by direct ministerial responsibility coupled with local decision making here on the ground.
Egan was in Lethbridge to meet with healthcare workers and local representatives with the Alberta Teachers Association. The Alberta government plans to hit the road this summer to get input on changes to its Freedom of Information law. The survey will happen over about 6 weeks. The review is set to focus on how to make Freedom of Information rules more user-friendly. The Liberals say the hearings are a waste of time since an all-party legislature committee reviewed the rules just 2 years ago, making 24 recommendations. They'll be in Lethbridge on June the 19th for the hearings, 6 o'clock at the Lethbridge Coast Hotel. Well, 2 Lethbridge ladies have put their lives on hold for the next few months and have embarked on a nationwide bike tour to create awareness for Alzheimer's. Brendan Miller was able to catch up with the cycling duo as they made their hometown pit stop.
For Tanya Lee Howe and Jocelyn Raleigh, this is a moment 5 years in the making. They met in 2008 while working at the Lethbridge Hospital and decided one day they wanted to bike across the country. That day was May 29th. That's when they left White Rock, BC and started pedaling. But now the ride had another purpose, to raise awareness about Alzheimer's.
Everybody that we've talked to has known someone, and most of the people actually it's their parents, which is kind of takes you back because you're just like, wow, like everybody's affected by this.
We just talk to people. We stop in stores, and people stop us sometimes just to see where we're biking to, and we just explain what we're doing, and yeah, people have been very receptive to us.
For Tanya, the ride is a way to help her mom, Pamela, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about a year ago.
It can be a very frustrating disease because you think you're normal, and you're not as far as that goes with the Alzheimer's because your brain does not function the way it should.
Since Alzheimer's is genetic, Tanya is also at risk. To support those taking care of loved ones with the disease, Tanya has written a book that gives practical advice for making the most of Alzheimer's.
Work with people with the disease, so you work with it, not against it. You got to work with the person and understand that there's limitations and you work around those.
I'm very, very proud of her. I'm proud of both of the girls who are going all that route. And it means a lot to me because so many people don't understand what Alzheimer's is and how it can affect a person.
Although their bike ride is geared towards creating awareness and not fundraising, they are suggesting people who are inspired by their cross-country tour to donate to their local Alzheimer's Society. Brendan Miller, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Now the pair will hit the road again on Monday. They're going to be traveling towards Medicine Hat. Tanya and Jocelyn hope to arrive in St. John's, Newfoundland in August. Meanwhile, an Ontario man is also hitting the highway in southern Alberta to raise awareness. Casey Reuter was cycling to promote organ and tissue donations. A good friend of his, Matthew Antolin, died in December at the age of 27 while waiting for a heart transplant. Antolin was at the top of the donor list when he died. So Casey is cycling across the country in his friend's honor. Alberta, meanwhile, is in the process of implementing an online donor registry, something Reuter says will save more lives than you can imagine.
You can save up to 8 lives and help improve the lives of 75 other people by just one organ donor. So whether it's your heart, lungs, kidneys, pancreas, intestines, even things you might not think about, heart valves, ligaments, tendons. I for myself have had thumb surgery and have received a donated ligament in my thumb because of someone signing up online.
Reuter will be cycling on the Trans-Canada Highway from Calgary to Medicine Hat over the weekend, and he also hopes to hit the Atlantic coast in August. It's an event to promote health and wellness, but for many students at Winston Churchill, it was a way to celebrate the last day of classes before exams start. A cloud of orange and blue against the gray sky this morning, and it kicked off the school's very first color run. Those white shirts didn't stay that way for long. About 300 of these colorful characters ran, jogged, and walked 3 kilometers through North Lethbridge past color stations where students were doused with more painted powder. They finished the race in the tie-dyed fashion, inspired by the color run that's sweeping across the world. The untimed race celebrates positive energy and healthiness.
Here at Winston, we really focus on family and our pride. And so this is a great activity to not only encourage wellness and health, but also a great activity that everybody can take part in. And so we thought it'd be a really fun activity way to end the year. So.
Now, the very first color run started in Utah in 2012, and this year over 1 million people worldwide will participate. And it also got colorful at St. Paul's Catholic School today. The school celebrated First Nations culture and the Blackfoot land Lethbridge sits on. Young drummers from St. Paul's demonstrated their talent before their classmates this morning, while members of all ages of the Piikani First Nation and Blood Reserve dressed in traditional garb and performed for students. The school was celebrating Heritage Day, a day set aside to learn and participate in Aboriginal culture. It precedes National Aboriginal Day, which happens next week and honors all First Nations people across North America.
We're trying to develop more of an awareness for our students and to encourage pride in our students, and they're accepted from the whole population of the school.
It's an opportunity for everyone to grow and learn, and we say we live in a global community, and what better place to start those conversations and those understandings but right here in our own community.
And now we're going to take a look at how the markets wrapped the week. It was a tough day again. Here are the day's final numbers.